Now, 12 long hours before the sun will rise and drive them back to darkness.
Mixing live music can be high risk, but it can yield high rewards. You never know with who or where it will land you.
I sometimes feel that I am impersonating the dark subconscious of the whole human race.
Sound engineer Raymond Calhoun is here to tell us all about it. Now let's get to mixing. With your hosts, Jeremy Burns and Matthew Scott Phillips.
Here we are again.
Here we are again.
I'm Jeremy Burns.
I'm Matthew Scott Phillips, but y'all knew that.
Yeah, but that intro music didn't quite sound like anything that you and I had done before, does it, Matt?
No, that's new stuff. What's going on over there?
Maybe it has something to do with this guy sitting in this chair over here.
Oh, it
who's
just
that?
might.
Who's this?
Look at look at who we have in the studio.
Oh, wow.
Raymond Calhoun. Raymond's like, what? Like he just got zapped out of bed.
Yeah.
And maybe he kind of did. You worked a show last night.
Yeah, but I'm still alive. I kind of feel like a zombie, but hey, I'm here and we're all good. You know?
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Raymond Calhoun, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, sir.
It's great to have you, man.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, that was your intro music, and we're gonna ask you about it later on.
Dig it.
But right now, we'll just go ahead and get kind of right into what you do. We haven't done a careers episode in a long time,
It's been a long time.
and it's something that we talked about doing,
Yeah, we never abandoned the idea. It just,
and it just slipped the mind, really.
yeah. Well, there's so much other stuff, so much theory to get through.
But see, now we're getting into these really complex theory issues, stuff that I'm really kind of.
And
let me find something to do in
Jeremy's
the meantime.
eyes kind of glaze over a little bit. And yeah.
Yeah, that'll make your mind melt.
Yes,
yeah.
it will.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, so here we are in my subterranean studio.
Yeah. I'm digging it.
It's very quiet. It's very controlled.
Digging the vibes.
If I want feedback, it's deliberate, and feedback that just doesn't happen down here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like that. But where Raymond has to go out into the untamed world, do you not?
Oh, yeah, it's a jungle out there, I'll tell you that.
From your sonic perspective, this is an uncharted world because every new venue, every new band brings a new challenge,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
What do you do, Raymond?
Oh, well, what I do is, for a living?
Yeah.
Okay, well, like you said, yeah, I go into different venues and work with different talents, and there's a lot of acoustic things that you have to focus on, when you walk into a new space, whether it's live, like a gym. Sometimes you get blessed with mixing in a gym or something like that. And it's one of the most challenging.
A big old box. With
Yeah,
nothing
big
but hard
old
surfaces.
reflective box. Just bouncing sound waves
Let's make
all
sound
over
to the
the
bullhorn.
place. Yeah, just like a bouncing basketball, and how that sounds in the gym. Well, that's sound waves, but then you get lucky sometimes, and you get to go into a concert hall where it's nice and tuned for a live performance. Mm-hmm. You get the right rig for the room, and it's been tested and treated, and everything's right on point, and you can have one of the most magical experiences.
That's awesome.
Mixing, and just, because you're driving the show with how you're mixing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what you do is you are a live sound mixer.
Yeah, I'm an audio engineer.
Audio engineer, if there's
a job description.
Official title.
Yes. Yeah, but yeah, definitely. It's I've been doing live audio for a good 20 years or more, and it's through the years it's it's been in varying degrees. There's always, you never, I guess, settle on any one place or any type of situation. When you freelance, you kind of gotta just get out there and do it because it's kind of feast or famine. And you wake up freaking out, wondering what you're going to do for a living that day, and then and then you get on the phone and start trying to talk to people, and sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes people remember you, and then they're like, hey, oh yeah, I remember him from that show, let's get him on it, and then
and we did interview freelancer Chris Knutson
Yeah,
at one
Chris.
point who lives this experience a lot. He's pretty well established at this point, but yeah.
He was more on the stage tech end, like the tech stage manager.
Right, yeah. More on the stage end, and
yeah.
this, but he had done some live sound and audio engineering too. So, but yeah.
I've always just kind of freelanced. I've had a chance to join a union, but I don't know. I've never dealt with those politics too well, and I don't know, especially the stagehands union. I mean, I respect them and everything, but that's not for me.
Well, as unions go, and I believe in unions for their own reasons and purposes.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the film production scene, most of what I do is commercial work. The union stuff is usually the features, and that's usually stuff that I don't really involve myself with, anyways.
Right.
So it doesn't justify me paying union dues to only work one feature a year.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If I even want to do that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But enough about all that. I mean, so tell us kind of where you are right now. I know you've done some pretty cool things recently, but we're gonna ask about that in a second. Just tell us what's kind of your weekly or daily or.
Man, right now, I've just been trying to get back on the grind and do some regular stuff. I was mixing out at church up until January. I've been mixing there for about a year and a half, and then they went to full volunteer staff. So I in the interim, you kind of just have to get on it and see what you can do. And I ended up mixing a few club gigs, and then finally found another church venue to get in and mix at. And then past that, I've also just been playing a lot of guitar and music and all that on my an, and just been trying to focus on that end. But it's kind of an interesting year so far. So it's
Well, you're at the mercy to the economy, really. It seems like
it's definitely not the same as it was before the COVID thing. It's my freelance hasn't recovered as much as it was before that. I mean, it's I'm definitely having to think more out the box, and I'm sure you're the same way. It's definitely a different environment out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because just everybody is either changed positions or they moved on to something else, and it's a lot can happen in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but things people are crawling out of their holes.
Yeah, they are. It's just finding the new paths to the if you can, I guess.
So you have worked a lot of shows.
Yeah. I've worked my share. I've worked for some pretty decent legends too.
Tell us about some of your favorites. What are the most memorable?
Well, let's see here. I used to go on tour with Billy Ocean.
Billy Ocean.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was lucky enough to get asked to go on a tour in Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, nice.
Dude.
Yeah, dude. It was freaking ridiculous. This was back in 2012.
Yeah.
And there were some really cool moments.
crossing the pond
Yeah.
on someone else's dime and getting paid for it. Jeez,
Yeah,
man,
and
come
getting
on.
paid in British sterling, no less. Yeah, man. So we were like, we went to Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and then went to Rotorua, New Zealand, which I think is on the South Island. It was pretty cool. It's all volcanic and stuff. But there was this one point though, like where I was like in the tour bus, and we were like going from the venue back to the hotel, and Billy Ocean, he had a little baby Taylor, and I was like, "Hey Billy, let me play that guitar." you
Yeah.
know? He's like, "Okay, Raymond, go take the guitar." And so I started playing this like Stevie Ray Vaughan shuffle, and everybody just started clapping along. I started singing it, it was like this, almost famous moment, and then like we started. I remembered playing Bob Marley tune, Redemption Song, and then and then like everybody just started clapping along and singing and all that. I was like, this is surreal.
That is surreal.
It's like Billy Ocean singing along with me and his background singers. And then Big Mountain was in the bus, too. They were singing, too. And it was like this big magical, like almost, that movie Almost Famous. It was kind of like that. It was that kind of crazy moment, man. It was like something that just like totally blew my mind. And I always have,
That seems like one of those memories you could just say, it's been a good life, man.
Yeah.
It's been a good life.
Yeah, man.
But it
And,
continues.
yeah, it does. Yeah,
We were hoping that Marshall Tucker wouldn't keep you out too late last night.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's inevitable sometimes. You gotta work, but it's, I'm used to it.
What song is he famous for?
Can't You See?
Can't you see what that woman?
Yeah, he's famous for a couple of.
That's the main. But I recognize that one.
Yeah, that's the one they ended with.
Alright.
Yeah.
And then you also tour with ABBA.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go ahead and start name dropping for you.
Yeah, I'm at the concert. I used to, Yeah. And I did a few tours after the COVID break. And it was fun. It was taxing. I realized how out of shape I was. There was one we did a bunch of outdoor gigs in, I think it was August or something of 2021. It was so bad, and the heat was so bad, I got heat exhaustion. I had to go to the freaking hospital. Yeah, and yeah.
It's a pretty scary moment.
Yeah, it was. And I think everybody was scared, but, I survived,
But see, I mean, that's happened to me before on a shoot, It's one of those things where it's like I didn't think to hydrate enough the night before,
Right.
and I didn't stay out of the sun, and sure enough, I got the same. I think I got what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go to the hospital. I was able to manage it pretty quickly and get some shade and rest and water.
Yeah.
But I felt cool. Like my body temperature felt cold, but I was actually really hot.
Yeah.
So I was hot, and then all of a sudden I started to feel this rush of coolness. I was like, wait, that didn't track.
Yeah. We had a couple of days off in New York City. I think I ate some crazy Chinese that was just like loaded with MSG and it
High
just
sodium.
Yeah, it was like sucked the moisture out of me. It was crazy. But yeah, I survived and they paid me, so life is good.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. That is fabulous.
Yeah, man.
Now, so when you got into the School of Music, was this the path you had chosen, or did it choose you, so to speak?
I actually started out as a pre-med major. Yeah. I was like coming out of high school, I was big into like genetic engineering and all that. I was just like, I'm going to create some weird animal or something. Yeah, I don't know. But and then I started taking, I was getting into it and started doing the classes, and I took this advanced chemistry class, and then it just started bringing me down, and then I was like, Oh man, I don't want to do this chemistry shit. Oops! Well, there's a little guitar riff right
There's a
there.
guitar riff.
There's one.
Bam! All right, but
There's another.
I said bam.
Oh, okay, all right.
Bam. Okay. And-
I'll go back and analyze the,
All right.
the recording.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I didn't like the chemistry class so much, and so I was like, yeah, basic musicianship course, sure, why not? I've always wanted to learn how to read music, you know, so I was just like, why not? And then I took that, I was like, oh, okay. And then found out that, well, I was going to Jeff State at the time, actually. Yeah. And
This
I
is
was
pre-UAB.
yeah. This is pre-UAB, and I was like, you know, they had actually had classical guitar being taught there,
Wow.
and I took, you know, I took classical from Paul Hicks, who is the harp player for the Alabama Symphony Orchestra.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's her husband, but. Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, he's a really good teacher, and you know, it started getting me into it, and I was like, oh, I can read music, I can play this. This is cool. And then you know, started taking basic theory there, and you know, I did. There was a really good theory teacher there. Doggone, I can't think of his name, but
Ronald Clemens.
This is Jeff State, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is Jeff State. Okay.
Still
Yeah.
pre-UAB.
This is Jeff State, but yeah, he taught the, you know, like the circle of fifths and made me really understand it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's stuff like that, and you know, I went through and did the advanced theory there too, and you know, it just got into it, and then by that time, you know, I transferred over to UAB, and I think I just basically started doing like, you know, orchestration and stuff.
So maybe I met you in the MIDI ensemble then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I
Which
started.
was the computer music ensemble,
Right.
but at the time it was the MIDI
Right.
ensemble.
Yeah. I think they were wrestling with the name right when I was graduating. You know, it was kind of like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, is it MIDI ensemble
Or
or is it computer music
ensemble.
ensemble?
Well, at
Yeah.
the time, everyone thought, sort of assumed that MIDI was just going to become this very outdated
Yeah.
thing, which it really hasn't. But so they're switching the.
It's more of a.
There's currently a push to change the name back.
Really?
Going on.
No way.
Yeah, propagated by yours truly, who is now the director of that ensemble.
Oh, look out.
So yeah, I just got to convince the powers that be that MIDI ensemble is catchier, and I don't think I really going to have a hard time doing that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And you were in that class too, Matt, weren't you?
I was, I was in the MIDI ensemble, and I think I knew you like in theory classes or something.
Yeah. Well,
because-
you know, I first really got to know you when you asked me to play guitar on that one piece.
That's true. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I composed a guitar, sort of a guitar electroacoustic kind of piece. So,
Yeah.
and we played on it together, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I
you
played
played
bass,
bass and
yeah.
I played classical guitar. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. I think. Yeah, that was, and then shortly after. I think shortly after that, I joined the MIDI ensemble because at the time I was taking jazz ensemble from
Clevey, the great immortal Clevey, whose name has been
yeah.
mentioned before.
Many times.
And then that was one, quarter when I liked jazz ensemble. Then and there was this other dude came in, and it was just like, and then.
I know who you're talking about, but we're not going to.
Yeah, we all know who you're talking
was,
about. We're not going to get into this.
I joined the MIDI ensemble, which it was then. I was like, oh yeah, this is it. All right, cool. I can deal with this.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, Matt and I met you at UAB, the University of Alabama at
Absolutely.
Birmingham School of Music.
Where we got our first degrees. All of us got our first college degrees.
I mean, our listeners don't know that though. So Matt has a question for you.
I have a question. So, do you have any formal education beyond that? We all got our degrees together. Did you have any formal education beyond what you got in college? Or was it just hard knocks? Was it just
Oh yeah,
going out
after
and doing
that
it?
it was just like, well, I'm going to make good on this education, I guess.
Right.
And, so just started hopping into it, and then yeah, pretty much hard knocks after that. But I learned how to deal with it and get on with it.
And you got the music tech degree? Was
Yeah,
it? Okay,
yeah.
yeah. That's the same one I got. Didn't you too?
Yes.
Yeah, BA in music technology.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, nothing, just the School of Hard Knocks. Huh?
Yeah, sometimes you learn more.
I can't wait to hear about some Hard Knocks. We're going to ask about those later on.
Yeah.
We have all had our Hard Knocks, right? Now, do you have anyone that you consider to be like a mentor in the sound mixing field more specifically?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I kind of got my start mixing out at the Stevens Center out at UAB, and there were a few people out there that were pretty cool and all that. Then years later, when I started working at Iron City, I was front of house engineer there for a very short while, but Mike Krieger and Jason Westbrook really taught me some cool things, some really, and really filled in the gaps for me as far as...
Like what kind of things? What did they teach you?
Just like, how to set gain structure properly for vocals, with, venue specific, putting a high pass filter on vocals at 132, that's good standard, or, how to EQ drums just right. And there truly is an art to that, and then just, how to ride effects and everything. They were very informative.
Oh, interesting. See, that's the kind of stuff I don't think about. Writing effects. Maybe there's a good time to bring in some reverb.
Yeah.
A good time to take it
Or-
out too. It's not just a one level fits all. Yeah.
Well, definitely. I mean, when you mix live vocals, always the best go-to for me has always been a vocal plate, and then to make the vocals bigger, you've kind of fade in delay at the right time, and make sure that's tapped in time to the tune, and then you can bring it out at certain times, so it's not like just sticking out. But
And again, that's fascinating because we're talking about live sound. This is not this is on during a concert. You're back there doing those kinds.
yeah,
of,
and
You're
you have to
part of the
immediate
show.
changes. Yeah.
right.
You're the wizard behind the curtain, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And when you get, and then also too, getting compression ratios just right. When you've got some heavy hitters, that really, slam the mics really hard, and you want to,
Or slam the mics hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Even
Dynamic
more
vocalist.
annoying.
Yeah, you got to make sure that the ratio, the threshold, all that's just right. But it's but if you're really good at it and the band, then there's a lot of times you don't want to use compression because the band and how they hit their instruments, and a lot of instances where not using compression can be really beautiful on its own, but it takes good musicians to be able to translate that. And so you use compression to kind of shape the sound, but sometimes it's if you just don't know who you're mixing, you kind of use it to protect yourself. Just a little
bad audio.
bit.
Well, you mentioned knowing the band, and I got to think it's got to be very advantageous if you're doing something like, if you're on tour with ABBA or something, and you're working with the same musicians day in and day out. You sort of learn, where the compression is going to sit for them to sound best. How much of a delay to bring in when to make it sound best.
That's right.
Yeah. Whereas, right, you go into a situation where you've never mixed these people before, and is that more of like a basic sort of, okay, well, I've got my 5 things I'm definitely going to do just because I don't know who this musician is, and it's kind of like my default thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, like, like I talked about, setting high passes on certain things to make sure that, like vocals don't rumble, or, just, or like, say, if you've got a DJ, then, yeah, you most definitely want to, make sure that, your highs are just rolled off so you don't, or just so, on the low end. But I don't like mixing those, but, I like just mixing bands, functions and stuff like that. I can do without all the boom, boom, boom and all that,
And have you ever been a mentor to other people? Have you ever acted in the role as an instructor? And if so, how did you find that? Was that rewarding or what?
And I don't know.
Maybe you did and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, I think there's been people, in the industry who've maybe taken attention and maybe I haven't noticed, but but at the same time, I've, where I can, I've showed some people some things, and it really helped. So, yeah.
So, do you feel like your experiences at the School of Music Technology helped for your career, for your current career?
Well, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, I can tell when somebody's, not hitting the right notes, and all that. I used to get on to the last worship leader that I was working with, and be like, man, come on, this is the wrong tempo. And, I know because I've heard this song a million times, and you got it wrong, or I'd be like, you could sing a little bit better in unison, or it's just stuff like that. You can't help but notice because you're trained as a musician in the School of Music, and you hear things.
You had to pass these ear training tests. You had to take the piano proficiency exam and all those things.
There were.
We all have that reaction when we recall the piano proficiency
those were like those things were. Man, that was like walking on hot coals or something, man, because, I will say that the piano teacher, that class piano teacher,
Mrs. Rust,
who we have mentioned on this podcast.
And favorably, yes.
Favorably.
It was difficult. She provided some difficult times, though.
I mean, see, and that was the thing.
More difficult was insecurities.
The tops of my wrists got very red by a certain ruler.
She whacked you.
All the time.
I do not remember her whacking me on the wrist with a ruler, personally.
I think I do remember her doing something
really?
like that.
Oh my gosh.
Point.
I don't remember that.
Nothing that would get her fired.
I don't know. Maybe she secretly liked me.
So just hard enough to not get fired.
That's what it was.
Maybe she felt differently about Raven.
Yeah, maybe maybe there was a thing.
I do not feel like I was her favorite student, but who knows? Do you feel like you could do your job without your music education, or do you think your music education was quintessential to your job? Was necessary for your...
yeah, I could, but I don't think I'd have
nearly as much fun with it.
Nearly as much fun, or the appreciation of it.
Yeah.
I think it's like there's if I didn't have the education, I think it would just be kind of dull, and it'd just be a job, because
that's fascinating.
Yeah, because to me,
that's an interesting perspective that I don't think we've had before.
Knowing the fine details kind of helps your appreciation of it, or
just in knowing, what the musicians are doing and how they're doing it and how it's coming all together.
Yeah. And the value of education, not as in it becomes necessary to do your job, but it becomes necessary to enjoy your job.
Yeah, it enhances...
Or helpful to enjoy your job.
Yeah, it definitely enhances, how you interpret it.
Mm-hmm.
There's because you're studied in that. Yeah.
Cool. And now, just in case we might have covered this a little bit in bits and pieces earlier.
Yeah.
But if you don't mind, quickly just give us your path after graduation. How did you get in with the live sound crew?
Oh, yeah. Well, I started out, found this one production company. I can't even remember the name of it. But, I started doing a few things with them, and it was kind of just a bunch of drudgery, It turned out to be just like hanging lights or something for some, just be like, like up until 3 a.m. at some place, at some PGA event or something,
just event audio.
Yeah, and just doing all sorts of stuff because you're young and, they're
I remember you did sound at the, what was it called? The Arena.
Oh, God.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah, that was one of my first
That was back in the day.
hell gigs right
Yeah,
there.
right.
That was my formative days, I guess you could say. But, yeah, after that, I finally got in at the Stevens Center and started working stage crew and all that. And that was where I really started learning stagecraft and everything. And that was something that was kind of really interesting in itself because, there were all these knots that you can tie, learn, everything like clove hitches and bowlines and everything like that. And, there was a specific purpose for each thing. There's a way the tech crew works together, and it's really cool. And just on that side of it, that kind of blew my mind, because, I would get to see really cool shows too. And, but then, I just started, like wanting to mix there. And so I was like, hey, can I push faders at, this event? Yeah. And so I started working into it. And then, then they started noticing. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I ended up starting, I mixed Randy Newman there. Yeah, I mixed Leon Redbone.
This is the Stevens Center?
Yeah,
okay.
Stevens Center. There was a theatrical production of A Christmas Carol. Patricia Neal. It was in The Day the Earth Stood Still. That old sci-fi.
Yeah.
I love that movie. One of my favorites. And so, I got to meet her and talk to her. And that was like my first mind-blowing experience, like getting to meet a Hollywood legend. It was just like
having the fanboy feeling, but knowing you got to be professional as the sound mixer.
Absolutely.
And kind of dampen it a little bit, or damper it a little bit, right?
Right. Yeah. But sometimes you can't help that.
You got to squeal just a little
Yeah.
bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, around certain celebrities, I still kind of get that, but it's very few, yeah.
You get desensitized to it after a
Yeah,
while.
you do. You kind of do, and there's some that are, most of them are nice, but then some of them, kind of have a bad day, and they'll kind of throw it your way sometimes.
I got a friend who worked on the camera. The Rolling Stones came into town and played in Birmingham like a couple of decades ago.
Oh yeah, right.
And one of my friends was on the video crew, and then the stage manager, they had a little meeting before the show, and the stage manager came out and said, "All right, Mick doesn't need any new friends." And that was the end of his portion, the stage manager's portion of the meeting.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah. But and so when I got to starting to work at like a place like Iron City, that was that was fun too. That was super fun because I got to meet a lot of crazy people like Philip Anselmo from Pantera.
Oh wow!
No.
Yeah, he came up to the whole crew after his show, and he just gave us all this big bear hug. He's like, "Yeah, I fucking love you guys." He's just like, man, one of the most cool human beings on this earth. But when he gets up on stage, he's like, just it goes crazy. Yeah, and there's so many cool things like that. I got to mix Helmet.
I
And
remember them.
yeah, that kind of blew my mind. You know, that was one of the first big acts at Iron City that I got to meet. You know, that was one of those things where you're just like, oh my God, this is like, because it's something that you listen to in high school, and then there it is, right on stage, and you're mixing it.
Yeah, would you have ever dreamed back in high school that would have happened?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then I've mixed some cool hip hop cats that were pretty awesome, like T.I. and Be Real from Cypress Hill. And
So that's a different genre, having to kind of get used to or learn a new genre, because there's a lot of heavier bass that's kind of necessary, right?
Yeah. On the vocals, in hip hop, you got to work the delay and work it really fast. It gives like this really fluttery effect that makes it happen. Yeah.
If they're rapping real hard and fast, you can't have a lot of delay on there, right? Because it's just going to sound like a big old jumble.
As long as you have the repeat fast enough and, you have it just right in the mix.
And you ease it in at the right time or the right place.
Yeah. It's on point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This good guy that I used to work with who's a phenomenal hip-hop artist, PTG. He's out of Atlanta. And, he mixes and records, and he tipped me off to a lot of stuff on how to mix hip hop. And he's another one of those mentors out there that really influenced me on mixing sound.
PTG, huh?
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah. It sounds like
Shout out.
It sounds like there's a very
Straight
wide.
boy.
It sounds like there's a very wide skill set we have to do this job.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, not knowing what a delay is, first of all, and then knowing what the repeat on the delay is, and then how to set it properly.
What to do with it, yeah.
Now, what kind of other kind of skills do you need to do this kind of job?
Well, I mean, yeah, you definitely have to know the vernacular of the genre that you're mixing.
Right? Yeah.
You got to know.
So if you're doing live sound for a country music act and you've never listened to country music in your life, this is going to be a disadvantage.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. You got to know what effects to use, how to EQ everything properly for that sort of mix. Whereas hip hop has its own thing.
Right.
You had basically tracks a lot of times. Sometimes you have live drums, bass, keys, and all that. Sometimes you have a live band with that, but you still have to know how to mix that right. I mean, it's you mix stuff like traditional Indian music, and then with tablas and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, and you got and those are those are usually mic'd, right?
Yeah.
When did you do that?
Oh, I used to do that all the time at the Stevens Center.
Because I saw Ravi Shankar and his daughter at the
Anushka
Yeah.
Shankar, yeah.
at the
Yeah.
Civic Center. Were you doing that?
No,
Okay.
no, I wasn't doing that, but I was doing like more community, like Indian.
Yeah, they do a lot of. They actually do a fair amount of that at the Stevens Center.
Oh, I
these
need
days.
to. I need to get the-
Yeah. If you've never seen Indian classical music, it's pretty awesome. You should definitely go check that out.
Yeah, they used to do that at the Birmingham Museum of Art too. I used to mix there, and they do a lot of that. Yeah, you just basically set a condenser up over the tablas, stuff like that. And they have a little tone box and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, definitely knowing what the vernacular of the what you're mixing. That's and then like especially like if you're mixing a cover band, like they're. Or a tribute act or something, there's a specific sound to the way that, band sounds. So, yeah, you got to know the effects that go with it and everything.
So do you listen to the band on the way to the show? Like if you're doing a Pink Floyd cover band, do you just pop in the dark side on the way to the show?
So they want a lot of reverb, apparently.
Yeah, totally. Prime your brain a little bit.
I know somebody who, I know a lot of people who can mix that very well. Like I said, Mike Krieger's one of them. I used to just marvel at his mixes at the Iron City because he would mix these cover bands and he would nail it. And it would be on point, and I would just still blows my mind thinking about it, and those cats that work with Black Jacket Symphony. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Randall Hughes. He's
Black, the group of which former guest of the show, Aaron Branson, has played bass for Black Jacket Symphony.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll cover an album. They'll take an album and do it from top to bottom, and then bring it on tour. Basically, their thing. Yeah. That's a cover band.
Yeah.
Or I guess they're a tribute band. Like they bounce around like temporary tribute band.
Well, I remember Aaron saying specifically that they didn't like the idea of being called a cover band because he used the analogy. Would you say that the Philadelphia Orchestra did a cover of Beethoven's Ninth? No, this is a musical tradition, right? So.
I don't know. That's kind of stretching it a little bit.
I think so.
That's what he said.
By that logic,
you dig it up with him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That it's all
Well, I remember
up for debate. Yeah, whatever.
I remember when you did sound for Jasper Cole, at Iron City, and that we have a fiddle player and an acoustic guitar player and a full bass, drums, 5 vocals up front.
Yeah, that was when there was like 8 bands that day or something. Right. Yeah.
So you had your hands full either way. But then when we came up, when I was doing us live on stage, I was always having problems with having the fiddle be loud enough to be heard without feeding back.
Right.
Because it's such a sensitive instrument, and the acoustic guitar and all that stuff. So that's where a lot of those challenges. So you do stuff like that, country music. You got the fiddles,
Yeah, absolutely.
You just got to get used to. You get used to it at some point, finding the right frequencies to bring.
Well, yeah.
Bring
And there was the last church that I mixed at. There was, you had. I was mixing like in this small reflective room in the mornings, and then mixing in a big, huge nave in the evenings, and just mixing like say a live violin would be totally different in one or the other, and it's
a lot of burning to learn.
Yeah,
a lot of having the hard knocks we were talking about, I guess earlier.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned a health problem or issue that happened with the overheating and stuff like that. Yeah, Chinese food, sodium, dehydration, things like that. Yeah, you got a lot of physical work ahead of you. Do you ever do any like exercises, or do you prime yourself in any way?
Yeah, I try to. Sometimes things get a bit busy and you can't. But it's one of those things. But yeah, and definitely it's. But I don't know. I'm always a work in progress in that point.
I've been telling myself I was going to start stretching at least for the past 2 decades.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm the same way. I'm like, I should probably start going to the gym, but
starting tomorrow.
Yeah, starting tomorrow. I try to befriend people who want to encourage.
I got this wild idea in my head for a little while a couple of years ago that I would park 2 parking lots over from the building. On campus, so to force myself to walk in. Yeah. So that lasted 2 days. This is ridiculous. No, I walked plenty.
But you made the effort.
Yeah. For those 2 days, I
thought about doing it.
Yeah, well, it's on event days. Sometimes I'll look, and at the end of the day, I've walked like 8 miles or something. Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm sure you've noticed it too. Well, yeah, especially when I used to work on the cruise ship for Delbert and Clinton.
No kidding.
Yeah, I did that for like 7 or 8 years, and I've done it so much I've got status on All American Cruise Lines. I'm a bronze member now.
Dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the final year I was working there, like, you're a bronze member now. And I was like, oh, wow, I've been doing this for a while, I guess, and that's a cool gig too. Delbert and Clinton.
6 years on a
yeah, it was once a year. Yeah, once a year, and it was so cool. Got to work close with Delbert McClinton.
That's a legend.
Yeah, I've been up to his house like many times.
Really?
And because we always had to load out, like a bunch of boxes and stuff that had to go on the boat and everything from his house. And a lot of the musicians would bring their instruments over there. The Mavericks and Paul Thorne and people like that, they drop their stuff off there, and we come up from Birmingham and pick it up, and yeah, it was cool because, we would walk in his house and, see a Grammy on his grand piano next to a letter signed by Johnny Cash, and just give you chill bumps,
Where does he live again?
Nashville.
No, what's the address?
Well, I can't tell you that. I know it, but I ain't going to tell you.
Well, nice try, Jared.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, all this equipment you're using, do you own it? Do the people own it? Do you have your own equipment that you prefer?
Oh, man. I mean, my personal gear is very limited and small because I usually, that I want to get involved with in, professional situations because, I don't know. I like my personal stuff being personal.
Right,
yes.
And so a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, the venue already has the gear, the mics. Sometimes the selection is great, and sometimes
less than great.
You get by, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Radio Shack, nice. Right? But yeah, yeah. It's definitely varying from venue to venue, but yeah, definitely. I work with a lot of very different brands of gear. Different boards. Not much outboard gear anymore. Ever since we went to digital, it's pretty much all in the desk itself.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything.
There used to be a certain number of kind of expected industry standard boards that you would expect to see at most venues.
Yeah.
So those are the ones you get to know, right?
Right.
Has it become a wider range now?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you have to learn all these little ins and outs. But once you know the basics, sure.
Yeah. Right.
But now we don't have as many knobs that we used to be able to twist, and now we have all these little screens and menus to deal with.
Yeah. It's like, most of them are, they're like a complex computer OS that you have to learn, and different ones have different quirks to them. Like the Allen and Heath D Live will have, like, say to save on that, you have to save both a scene and a show file. And if you don't save both, then your file will slowly get corrupted.
Jeez.
And then, everything will, so 2 very important steps, so it's just like, yeah, I'm glad I learned that one, and,
Did you learn that the hard way, or?
Oh yeah.
Jeez. That's the kind of thing I'd have to tattoo on my arm, I think.
Yeah.
I honestly do. I do things like that. I'll put like a little piece of white tape on my mixer and be like, sync time code, turn off the air conditioner. Things that I know I might forget,
Oh, absolutely.
But could ultimately royalties kind of screw me.
Yeah. And I've had really bad experiences, of course, with some things. I've had digital mixing consoles totally brick on me in the middle of a performance. Yeah.
Ooh, in the middle of the show. Oh,
yeah.
man.
Oh, yeah. With 4 or 5 different acts. There was this one when I was working for this one company, and they had Allen and Heath QU series. Oh, no. No. Never buy that.
Never buy that.
No.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. Whew. Midway through that thing, I think it was a QU16, that thing bricked on me, and I had to call the guy, how to do a factory reset.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I did a factory reset. It wiped everything. And so, I'd been doing sound for a while at that point, so it was just kind of like, you just kind of have to visualize all your inputs.
Yeah.
And remember where everything's...
What channel everything was going to.
Yeah, what everything was going to, and then just think, okay, all right, aux 1 is... this wedge, this is an in-ear, and then, so you're just like, and so you do something to improvise, to get by. And luckily when that happened, there was an acoustic act going, and I could kind of patch into the 2 tops and get them through while I was working through that thing,
Okay. So you bypassed the board.
Well, yeah. Through that act, I did. And then it was just like, okay, boom, and it wiped everything. And, I had to just hit the factory reset. And then it was just like, and then, yeah. And like I said, having to just know what you patched, where it's going to, and do it on the fly, quick. And then, and know your EQ shapes and just get something rough and going quick. I mean, that's the stuff that, you learn through repetition. And you have to, when you have to act, you have to act. And it's, troubleshooting, that sort of thing is intense and it's real because the show must go on.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most intense slogans and of anything, because the show must go on. There's people expecting it.
Yeah.
And so you have to work through it.
It's interesting because it's really the people who put on the shows that really take that seriously. The most
absolutely.
seriously,
I mean, if you want to get a call back, you better get that show going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was working a club gig the other few weeks ago. The stage box dies. Right before the main ad goes on. Yeah, and digital stage box. Yeah, Behringer S32. Imagine that, right?
Yeah. They're kind of in the lower.
They're in the lower echelons. It's like let's go to the convenience store and buy a throwaway mixer. It's that sort of thing. But.
We're not getting sponsored by Behringer.
Not. I never will be at this point.
That's all right.
Happened here first. Yes. And and so it gets rough.
Hey, while we're still talking about gear, just real quick, like in a live scenario, if you show up with your bag of microphones or whatever, can we just like do a quick run through of the types of microphones, like dynamic versus omnidirectional, and then the kind you would use on different, just a basic band setup for right now?
Oh yeah, like
drums. And so what would you use, for example? And I don't want to get into specific models, more just patterns and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
What kind of microphones what type of patterns do you use most often on stage?
Well, dynamic is the most, live friendly, for, like loud stuff like snares, guitars, guitar amps, vocals, they have a nice tight pattern.
It's kind of a tight pattern, but kind of around a very small area.
Kind of round, heart-shaped, in a way.
That's what they call the cardioid pattern?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and, and then the omnidirectionals, you're more on the overheads and stuff like that. And, like I'll do an 81 for a snare bottom, if it's just hanging around or just whatever, like DPAs are phenomenal mics for miking violins, vocals in particular, lavalier mics.
I've been using their lavalier mics threcently, actually. They're kind of new in the film world.
They're
expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive, really, but they are worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The last church venue I mixed at, I was at the Neumann KSM 109s. Those, vocal mics, but they're condensers, and it takes a little getting used to. You
got to run Fenn & Power to those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're you got to know how to EQ them just right.
Do you have to deal with the proximity effect on those things?
Yeah. So it's a hypercardioid pattern, so it's a tighter pattern.
They got to be more direct. They have to be pointing it more directly.
Yeah, they have to be more on. They can't hit it off axis as much.
Singers have to kind of know how to use the microphone.
Yeah. You have to be a real pro of a singer to be able to work that mic properly. But There's vocalists like, I think I've seen Joss Stone use one of those or something. She's really good with it. There's a lot of top artists that use it, but if you want to mix on those, you got to know that the artist is going to work the mic properly, or else it's those tight patterns are. They're good. They're great for like really loud stages, because it just keeps it right there. But they're
So
not.
you don't have to worry about as much feedback, other sounds mixing and interfering.
Yeah. But
fooling with each other.
at the same time, they're not as forgiving. So if you have somebody who's a bit of an amateur, and hits it off axis, you're better to get like an SM58 or something like, because that way there's a little bit wider of a pattern that they can hit it on the side and still pick it up.
Still tried and true. This SM50.
Oh yeah. It's a standard. I mean, as much as people hate it, it's one of those things that it is a standard for a reason. Built like a tank.
Okay, so we talked about some microphones. You got the dynamic microphones, which you can put right up there on the source. You don't have to worry about as much feedback. They don't take as much power. They don't have as wide or a huge of a pickup pattern.
Right.
And then you have the omnidirectional, like the SM81s that pick up. You'd use this for overheads kind of stuff.
Right.
Hypercardioid is way more directional. Mm-hmm. It's more like a little laser. You got to get right on that pattern, right axis.
Right. Absolutely.
What about other instruments like say like a bass or something or like that? How would you handle a bass? Because did we mention
it all? Have we ever mentioned before on this podcast
that we're bass players?
that we're bass players?
Oh man, look out. Yeah. So, all right, there's a few ways to approach this. They have a bass cabinet. Mm-hmm. All right. You can mic it with, one of the Bayard dynamic mics. Oh,
and my cabinet has been so mic'd before in the past.
I've seen those.
Yeah, and then you can use like D6, an Onyx D6, something
like a kick drum mic.
Yeah, 52 works too. You can even use 57 if you want to do it on a 4x10, and catch the. A lot of the ways professionally people do it is they'll just go DI.
Direct input.
But use a DI box and then go into the amp, basically. Yeah, and see that way, and then mic the cabinet if they do have a cabinet, because that way you've got a fail safe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You got two sounds really to choose from. You probably pick your favorite or do a blend of either.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's always a good way to do it. A lot of the amps have the direct outs. I see people using those, but there's
XLR.
the direct out XLR on the back.
Yep.
Yeah, one of my bass amps, one of my newer has that. Yeah.
Mine do.
But and they're great too. But it's one of those things where it's like, man, a bass head could go out at any moment.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, and then you don't have your fail safe,
which is the direct box.
Yeah, which is why you try to know how to build a proper bass sound. Or just saying, it's it's always how is the bass supposed to sound? For a given genre or a given space.
Yeah, because while we're nerding out on bass tones, the bass tone you use when you're playing funk is, versus the bass tone when you're playing rock versus the bass tone if you were playing gospel hymns or something. These are all wildly different tone, sounds you want from a bass, right?
Yeah. Some of them you want, sometimes you want the bass to be a little bit barky and, and
a little
bright.
clacky.
Yeah, a little bright, but then, a lot of the jazz stuff you want to just be
really kind of milky smooth.
Milky smooth and round, that sort of thing. Right, exactly, yeah.
I had to nerd out on bass just a little bit.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Come on.
That's
It
perfect.
wouldn't be us if we didn't.
Tell us about some of the people you work with. Who are the people that you're most closely working with on a given show or on a given day? What are their roles? What is that relationship like?
The hierarchy. So to speak, also.
Well, if I'm working in a venue, you go in, you're working with for techno technical director, that's over.
And so that person is usually your boss.
Oh yeah, love them or hate them, they're your boss for the day, and that's one of the things with freelancing. You get different bosses every day, a lot.
Which is good, right?
Yeah, it's good. It can be good.
If you can't stand them, you're not stuck with them.
Yeah, at least you can just turn down the call. It's like, there was one thing that I'd been working just to kind of get through, and then they finally got too pushy, and I was just like, well, I don't need them anymore. Block.
The good thing about freelance, I suppose. There's some autonomy that you can feel with.
Absolutely.
You can't fire your clients and still work another day, right?
Right.
So you got the technical director kind of leading the show.
Right.
We say boss, but we're all working together, but they're kind of the ones that
on the local level, right. And then, like say, traveling artists coming in, they have, they have a production manager, and then they're over the technical director of the venue.
Okay.
And, they're telling the technical director what to do and what the needs are for the crew for the day, like how many hands, how many spotlights, how many on audio crew, lighting crew, all that, and there are a lot of working parts to it, which is why when COVID shut everything down, it really, really affected the industry because it took a long time for it to get the wheels to turn again, because there's so many.
Because it's not like today's the day I just walk back into work kind of a situation, right?
Because there's so many.
Where have these people even ended up? And
because not only show crew, but then you've got catering, you've got marketing.
Yeah.
You've got so many facets to a live performance, and it's crazy. But and then like, see, if you're going on tour on the road, then you're working for your tour manager. And then that was a situation, going out with Billy Ocean, ABBA, the concert, stuff like that, is, they're your boss, love them, hate them. You're there with them for the whole 2 weeks or whatever it is. Right. And, it's like, hey, here we are, But,
so you try, I'm sure, to make a nice, make the nice early on to the best of your ability.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You can't sit there while someone talks down to you all day long or whatever. But sometimes, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's attitude stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sometimes I swear I'm hired more on my attitude than my merit. You know what I mean? I just got a good attitude.
Yeah. You've heard right, cheap, or fast?
Yeah.
My personal variation on that is good, professional, and nice.
There you go.
And you've got to be at least two of those.
I like that.
If you're really professional and you're really nice, you don't have to be that good.
Yeah.
Right?
I love it.
If you're really good and really nice, nobody's going to fire you because you're 10 minutes late, right?
Yeah.
We like you.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
If you're really good and you're really professional, you don't have to be nice.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But you've got to be at least two of any of those. If you're only one of those, no. It's like if all you are is nice, but you're not good and you're not professional, nobody cares how nice you are. You're not going to get work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So... But now zooming back in a little bit.
Okay.
So if you're leading the crew, you're the sound mixer, and it's more of a kind of a stripped down thing.
Yeah.
You have who's helping you out. So you got next in the hierarchy, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, generally, if I go out like on a remote gig or something like that, I will, if I'm the only one on that, I have to rely on a lot of who's there locally, like the local crew to help get me in, help get me out. Sometimes I'll have an assistant, or whatever. A lot of times I'm going out with, an actual production manager with the company, and they'll be, facilitating while I'm mixing, stuff like that. I worked a show last night, and it was basically that. I came in, worked as stage manager, then also mix monitors for the opener.
Okay.
And so, a lot of times, you can get thrown to good hosted roles with doing a live show. It's really weird.
So the sound mixer, if you were to bring in two other people, maybe you'd have a monitor person.
Oh yeah. Definitely depends on how much
of a crew
money the people putting on the event have. If
That's always an important consideration.
yeah. Okay, you're only going to pay this much. Okay, I guess we're mixing monitors from front of house. No monitor board. Okay, all right, we got it. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But do you climb a ladder? Like you're not just going to show up and mix a gig the first time. You show up and you're helping wrap cables.
Yeah.
Utility kind of stuff, huh?
Yeah. And there's two schools of thought to wrapping cables.
I'm glad you said that.
And it is hotly debated.
High passion.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
it
tell me-
is hotly
'cause
debated
in my-
among sound engineers.
In my world, there's only one way to do it. There's not much of a debate. My only thing is clockwise or counterclockwise.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of the lasso technique.
Over
right?
and unders, so
Yeah.
right? I mean, okay. Tell me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, over under. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, there are certain schools of thought that say yes, over under. But there's always that one or two people in the crew that do it wrong.
Yeah.
And then the next time you break out that cable,
Yeah.
you undo it and you got 8 knots.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've done that to myself before.
Yeah, and it's infuriating. But if you wrap them yourself and you know how you wrap them over under, then that's different. See, I'm kind of split. Okay, I'm split right down the middle on this. Okay, and people
I
will
love the
think,
passion of it.
yeah. Okay, so people will think I'm crazy. All right, but this is the way I think. In my personal studio, my personal cables, I prefer over under. Okay, but live, no. Like especially
What do
if
you do
it's
live?
Well, because I know that there are a lot of stagehands who just don't get it and how to finish off the coil properly so it doesn't, go into a bunch of
big
knots.
tangle. Yeah.
It's, you almost prefer them to just do it like, coil.
Kind of the
coil.
lasso technique.
Well, just
follow the memory of the cable.
yeah, just follow. And don't do the the under. Just do the
twist.
over.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
do the over, and then that way you never, if you're in a hurry on a live gig, and you're just having to go, then you're not going to get messed up with all those knots.
Yeah.
You could toss it. You hold one in and toss it, and it would unwrap itself across the stage.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, if you had to.
Yeah. Exactly, but
So there is a point to all of this.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think we should talk-
It's about convenience, and it's about the life of the cable too, because you're not fraying the wires on the inside, and
Right.
Or confusing the memory of the cable and making
Yeah.
it just wrap up weird and have this big old sloppy mess to deal with.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I still work with musicians sometimes who do the thing where they double it up and double it up and double it up, And that's what I started off doing. But man, there's just that's just a psycho way.
and if you elbow wrap, just stop. right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's always this one.
Just stop right now with that.
There's always this one farmer who turns stagehand on the gig.
Who
and
do
he's
the
doing this
elbow
number,
around,
and it's just like, oh man, come on.
Please,
No,
don't.
stop
Please.
right now, please. Just go take a smoke.
We'll wrap the cables.
When you come back, I'll show you how to do it properly. But please, to keep me from screaming at you, please take a break.
Drop it. Put that thing on the ground. Walk away.
Yeah, just drop it.
Step away
Drop
from
it.
Step away from the cable.
Step away from the cable. See, I kind of learned that from Dr. Angel. Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah.
I
See,
can hear him.
It's like his that harsh tone just kind of translated to me when I do stage management gigs. It's just like, no.
I think that harsh tone comes from any environment that you find yourself in where you are in charge of making sure other people do something properly, right?
Absolutely.
Whether you are a college professor or or the head audio engineer.
Oh, absolutely.
Or what, you get that when,
And your rep is on the line. You can't be going out there.
Yeah. And you're definitely you're influenced by your mentors and
Oh, sure.
You're
Yeah.
not as good as your weakest link,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There's all times where we've been the weakest link, or at least I can say that for myself.
Oh, yeah.
But it's story time. This is my favorite part of the podcast, really.
Yeah.
Story time, Raymond.
And the whole podcast really is story time.
Honestly,
Yeah, absolutely.
and digressions, and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
But we digress.
But we digress.
Can you share some entertaining stories that involve, learning from the School of Hard Knocks, or just like an aha moment, or anything that you want to share? Or embarrass yourself for the benefit of our listeners,
Well, let's see.
As we do every month.
as we do. It's become natural to me. And
Oh, yeah. An aha moment?
that, or even like a oh crap moment.
Oh, man. Let's see.
You mentioned a couple earlier already with your board breaking down and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. That was pretty wild. Wait, let me think about this for a second.
Take your time.
Yeah. Man, there's been so many. It's kind of like, which one? And wait, was that what happened? No,
You can embellish. You can
Yeah.
embellish if you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
We wouldn't know otherwise.
So, let's see. There have been the nightmares, but there's actually a very inspirational point in my career that shadows my time learning in the School of Music here at UAB. I studied classical guitar. And I studied a lot of transcriptions by the classical guitarist Christopher Parkening, who studied under Andres Segovia.
Ooh.
Yes. Yes.
He's famous.
Yes, absolutely.
Old school.
And I had the pleasure and the honor of mixing Christopher Parkening at the Stevens Center earlier in my career. And this was probably just a few years out of college. And it just kind of blew my mind, really, because it was like, all my thoughts and aspirations kind of coming back around to
right.
me, but it was in this tech setting. And it was so cool because, we had this one mic. It was a PZM mic.
Boundary mic.
Yes, and we set it up on the floor in front of him. And and that's how he preferred his concerts to be mixed live, actually.
Just the one boundary mic?
Yeah, just the one boundary mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So that's the technical side of it. So the totally mind-blowing part of it was, well, I told him, I said, Christopher Parkening, it's an honor just to be in your presence and, be able to mix you today. I really appreciate it. And I told him, I said, I studied a lot of your transcriptions when I was studying classical guitar in college. And he said, all right, well, I want to hear my guitar out in the audience. Would you mind playing it for me?
He wants to hear what his guitar sounds like from the audience perspective.
Yes. Okay,
He
so...
can only be in one place at one time.
Right, and so, see, you got to understand that, Christopher Parkening, studying all of his stuff and listening to his stuff was just, and then him being there was just totally mind-blowing. And then he's handing me his $25,000 concert Rodriguez. Yeah. And when he hands it to me, it's like you can feel the aura off of it. It's like, this King Arthur moment where he's handing you Excalibur or something like that. It's something. Wow! It just you could just feel the the vibes and the power in that axe, and he went out into the audience. I started, and he asked me. He just said, "Play PIMA," which is thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger.
Okay.
And so I can hear how the open strings sound. That's all he wanted me to do. And at the time, my guitar teacher in college had taught me to lean back the guitar in such a way that I could see the fretboard. And dig this. Christopher Parkening comes up on stage and he says, "No, that's not the way to do it." And he corrects me, and he does it in more of an upright position, which is the way you traditionally, it's the Segovia way, basically.
Right, yeah.
Spanish?
It's the way Segovia played it. It's more of an straight up and down, the way you're holding it.
As opposed to angled up and towards you.
Angled up and towards. Yeah, and so it's like, not only did I get to play his guitar, but he gave me a mini lesson, Yeah. Christopher Parkening gave me a lesson. It was pretty cool. I gotta admit, that's one of the things out of many that just totally blew my mind.
And
It's an amazing story.
And so early on in your career, you can be like, wow, if this can happen at this stage in my life, what else can this bring? What else can this avenue bring to me?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Very nice, man.
Nice
Thank you for
story.
sharing that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Perhaps that'll inspire some of our listeners.
Absolutely.
Our
I
younger
hope it does. Keep your mind open to possibilities, because as long as you visualize it, you work at it. It'll come to pass. It'll happen.
Nice, man.
Absolutely.
Well,
Last couple of questions.
wrapping it up, y'all.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who wants to do what you do? If they're young and saying, "I want to be an audio engineer," what's the advice you would give them?
Don't do it. If you have anything in your head, just avoid it.
Words of encouragement.
Yeah. You'll probably live a longer, happier life. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Hey, you're 46. You're doing all right, right?
Yeah. I'm 45.
You're a kid.
Yeah, I'm 45.
goodness.
Easy now.
45.
Don't age me yet.
I'm
the old man.
yeah.
All right.
Oh, man. Shoot.
Carry on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. Yeah, if you want to do it, just start doing it on the side. Don't think that you can make it like that, because I've fooled myself all these years, and I've made it, kind of, but it's.
I think
It gets a little crazy sometimes.
I think at the age where you're considering careers, you have a different concept of making it, especially in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
I know some of my fellow musicians, like Jason Bailey, who I was in Tunnel Vision with, who we all thought we would make it big,
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the meantime, he still makes a good living teaching and touring and playing music, doing what he does. And I guess for my career, my degree, I kind of ended up in the audio tech world.
Right.
And I see here you are touring with ABBA.
Yeah, ABBA the concert. It was basically kind of a...
Delbert McClinton.
And, I toured with also Happy Together tour. They were like a bunch of the 60s groups like the Turtles, and the Association,
Wow.
the Grassroots. I'm good friends with the bass player, Mark Dawson, who took over Rob Grill's position after he passed away. But I'm also good friends with Freddie King's keyboard player from his piano player from the cruise gig I used to work. It was really cool. Yeah,
So you get to make a lot of connections.
Yeah, man.
You get to be a part of something amazing.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, you're part of the art,
I mean, it's if you choose to walk that path, just be prepared for some big letdowns.
Yeah.
And realize that it's high risk and high reward.
Yeah.
And if you can deal with that, then you'll make it. You gotta have a tough skin. You definitely gotta have a tough skin to work in the entertainment industry or anything technical like that.
And a certain level of, I guess, economical discipline, right? Because, like you said, it is feast or famine.
Yeah.
There'll be slow seasons.
absolutely.
And a lot of people get scared and bail, but the ones that persevere, the phone will start ringing again.
Yeah.
What was the whole thing? The attitude thing. You'll never know if you're a jerk. I mean, if you're a jerk to everybody, you'll never know. Someone's not going to say that they didn't. You said it best, Matt. I mean,
So if you're a jerk to people aren't going to tell you you're a jerk, stop being a jerk. They'll just stop calling you.
yeah, and they won't say, "Hey, this job came up, but I decided not to call you."
Yeah, they're not going to call you and say, "Hey, we had some, but we didn't call you because you were unprofessional last time." That's not what's going to happen, right? You'll just never get called again.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing is sometimes you'll never know, what the real deal is. It's
the only thing I want to do is, before we get out of here, Raymond, first off, tell me if anyone, potential clients or anyone who wants to maybe contact you, is there anything you want to share about how to get in touch with you, or you want to direct them to our website or to us, or we'll put the stuff on the website if you want.
We'll just do that. But I'm
social media presence you want to speak of, or do you want people to? I mean, some people want to keep to themselves, and that's okay. I respect that.
Yeah, I mean, you can search me out on Facebook or Instagram if you want. It's gonna be a bunch of cat memes and hideous stuff like that. But if you wanna, no. I'm always looking to work with new people, and I want to dive in a little bit more to doing studio stuff too, and working on that end. Definitely open to that idea, and multimedia, film, everything, Yeah, absolutely. I've always, I'm always expanding my knowledge base, and, I want to kind of expand my client base as well, and, branch out and do something, that expounds on my live skills.
So if you just kind of look at Raymond Calhoun, Sound Mixer, Birmingham, that's one good way to get a hold of you. Do you have a website or anything like that?
I used to, but I'll throw up the contact info on your
Look on our website,
whatever.
Music Student 101. This is episode 123, 122. And, and
Which one is it?
you'll see Raymond Calhoun, RaymondCalhoun.
C-A-L-H-O-U-N.
CALHOUN.
Spell it for me, Raymond.
RaymondCalhoun. If you want to hit me up on Instagram, you can do so CL_R4Y. There you go.
And then finally, tell us a little bit about what we're about to hear, because the intro and the outro music is your piece.
Oh, yeah.
Which you recorded yourself, huh? Tell us about it real quick before we get out of here.
Oh, man, it was around Halloween. I was just kind of like in this weird, funky mood, and I was, just kind of feeling Vincent Price,
A weird, funky mood, did you say?
Yeah. Funky.
Just to be sure.
Funky, yeah.
Funky.
Yeah, man. And I just kind of broke out some synth stuff and some, on my computer, and started laying down some guitar with it, and I don't know, came out all right. I haven't really finished it, but
it sounds good. It's a good sonically. It's a really good mix. All the elements, the bass is good, and you can hear everything nice and even.
Yeah.
And that is your guitar playing.
Yeah,
in the
that's
background,
my guitar playing. Yeah.
Kind of delayed and reverb and distant and shredding kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And you do have some samples from the vocal samples. That is the great
Vincent Price.
Vincent Price.
Yeah.
We're not sure what movie it's from, but
Yeah.
Vincent, please don't sue us.
Well, yeah.
Vincent's estate, please.
There you go.
House of Usher, please don't sue us. Please don't fall down on us. That was horrible.
Allergic to garlic.
But we want to thank you again, Raymond Calhoun, for joining us, talking about
Absolutely.
live sound mixing.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great.
A blast from the past, too.
Yeah, no
Absolutely.
kidding.
Yeah.
And we will see you all next time.
We'll see you all next time.
Tell their friends how wonderful it is to be scared to death.
The path of a sound engineer is one of many that the more tech-savvy musicians can take. If you're among them, why not try your hand at the mixing console? As always, thanks for listening.
I sometimes feel that I am the dark subconscious of the whole human race.
If you care to support us financially, you can check out the donate page on the website. You can find our merchandise on redbubble.com/musicstudent101. And if you want to contact Raymond, you can check out our website or you can write to us at info@musicstudent101.com.